Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software Graitec Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. My guest today is Eric Benet. Eric is the BIM and VDC Technical Director of Graitec Group Canada. He's a senior architectural technologist that has a lot of experience in construction, drawing room, and project management. Eric is a certified expert in Revit and ACI by Autodesk. He's a trainer, coach, BIM strategist, project manager, and Revit pioneer in Quebec, Canada, and helps firms with their digital shift and BIM adoption. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Hey, thank you very much for the nice presentation.
You're welcome. You're a busy guy. That's a lot of stuff to rattle off there at that list.
Yeah, exactly. I was hearing you and it's okay, yeah, I did all that.
That's what we aim for. We're a confidence booster as you come in.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, welcome to Bridging the Gap. I always like to start with just kind of your backstory of how you got into this industry to begin with.
Sure. First, thank you for having me on board this episode. So yeah, my path is a little bit, I would say, geared toward technology. So I first studied in architecture at school. In Quebec, we have technical path, and then you can go to the university to become an architect. So I stopped at the technical one. I wanted there to be more on technology side. I was always the geek one on the computers and everything. I remember myself at school learning AutoCAD at that point, and the teacher was not grasping some concepts, and I was teaching sometime during my own class. So I was always, in front of my own. I was, yeah, very passionate about it. So when I began worked on different architectural firms, it was on and off on because I was searching myself what I wanted to do, and so I was working for some hospital projects. I was working for the prefabricated house construction also in Quebec. Worked for a couple of months there, and then worked my way on different architectural firms and was doing a lot of supermarkets and offices, and then I was hired for from by McGill University for building management. So all the project management side was appealing to me also, and that's the point where Autodesk bought Revit in 2002, I think, and then I saw that coming, and I said, well, I left my drawing work on the side to do more project management, and then I saw that coming in and said, well, I dreamt about that for all my learning years and drafting years, and now it's happening there. So I jumped into it. I did some side contracts on my own, like cottages in the woods or houses, and then I was picked by a local reseller. Worked maybe 2, 3 years there, and I wanted to start my own company, so I started my BIM consulting company around 2008, and founded the BIM user group in Quebec, and then yeah, maybe at the most maybe 15 employees, with based in Quebec City and Montreal, and we did a lot of different projects, having the Saint Justine Hospital, the University Science Center for Université de Montréal. So there was a lot of nice projects, nice team. And then at some point in 2018, there was a lot of construction going on, a lot of competition around. So I said, well, it's good thing to maybe leave what I don't like to do in my company, which is like the administrative part and paying employees and things like that, and concentrate myself only on the BIM side. So I decided to merge with Graitec at that point, and do pretty much the same thing I was doing before. It's just that now I'm concentrated on the BIM side and helping marketing, helping sales, and everything, not having all in my shoulders. So it was less stressful and more fun also to be part of a bigger team. So that's pretty much my path to so where I am now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, how have you seen the kind of landscape change as it relates to BIM? What's that kind of evolution been like up in Canada?
Yeah, it changed slowly, I think. I was beginning, like I said, to work in BIM consulting around maybe 2007 and six, just before starting my company, and there was a lot of curiosity.
Hmm.
People wanted to get better processes, maybe produce quicker and better, and having a better view of the projects in 3D instead of 2D regular CAD. So a lot of yeah, maybe the people with more vision, the company, maybe bigger company with budget came to us, and we trained different firms at that time. I remember my first mandate was two or three firms in Montreal that were doing the hospitals and everything. So things began to change there, and this is why I founded the BIM user group in Montreal to so we could be together talking about it and how we're going to handle it and maybe present things and how the word could go out and bring people more on that technology. So I think it changed organically with some projects having maybe a more compelling architect that wanted to have some engineers on board and was doing the right speech and began like that. And at some point, the government of Quebec, the SQI, the acronym, um, asked that some of their projects, more government projects, were done in BIM. And then contractors, general contractors, and architects and engineers didn't have choice to bid on a project. They had to do it in BIM. And first projects were not like all 100% BIM. It was more 3D Revit, but it started slowly. And now we have a roadmap for the Quebec construction, government construction, up until I think starting in 2026, all projects should be on BIM. So it was handled correctly, I think, with the government. So they can help also companies to go there and the past years since COVID, it was more aggressive because the government put some incentive for companies not to close doors because construction was not that great. So put people in training. So government helped the people to the companies to get that training and get some projects done in BIM to take the digital change
Hmm.
that we need to get to.
Hmm. So Eric, kind of double clicking, you brought something up with the BIM user groups. I'm a big believer in kind of sharing the wealth of knowledge as well. What do you see as kind of the big benefits that people get out of user groups?
First and foremost, I think it's the general knowledge that you can get there and not feeling alone on your island.
Mm,
Because sometimes you have one person that is working for a firm that is not on BIM and he thinks he's the only one in his world and you can't compare if he takes decisions, he cannot be challenged by somebody else because he's the only one in the office, fighting for a certain point or
mm,
so when you have the that kind of group, for sure you can have some technical or high level presentation of some things, but there's usually in our Montreal group, there's more social events, beginning and end of year, to mingle with people um, and networking and things like that. But a lot of time they bring somebody um, in the field of BIM around the world and talk about one project, another one, and then the people can relate to these projects and say, well, I could save that amount of money or I could be that more productive. It's the same project as I was doing.
mm,
So then you have a conscience of what's happening elsewhere. You're not like in silo and just seeing your projects. So
yeah,
I think it's the ability to bring humans together and share things together.
yeah, love that. So as firms are kind of thinking through their BIM process and trying to get a gauge on where they stand. What do you see as kind of some of the baseline necessities that the firms need to have in place when they're trying to adopt a digital workflow and really raise the bar on their BIM process?
I think the first step of going into a digital change is to make sure that everybody in the firm, in the team, is aware of what it will be implicating, or if they are all on board. Also, there's nobody else, trying to, pull back, or because then there's difficulties that will arise, and it's going to be more difficult. the most challenging thing with digital change is actually the change management. It's not the new process, or it's the new process is working well. It's just humans getting used to it and letting go their their old habits
Yeah.
and getting to the new ones.
And not
The,
reverting back when you hit a bump in the road.
exactly, and this is human nature. So for everybody who worked in design or even in sales, sometimes when you try to convince somebody of not necessarily selling something, it's just to open their eyes and say, well, that is better process than the other one, and you try to convince people, and it's hard. I remember when I was working at McGill University, I was designing labs for doctors coming in, and you just change like rotation of his office 90 degrees, and he doesn't like it for 2 months or 1 month because it's not there, and even seeing it off
Right.
plan, it feels uncomfortable. So it's really the change management that is the biggest bump. But if everybody is know know what's happening or will happen a little bit more and more informed, then the pill is less hard to swallow. So it's something that I would really put importance on is make sure that everybody's on board, especially the partners or the office managers, and everybody knows what's implicated and what's the benefit also that will have, not only the difficulties, but why we're doing it and what it will bring us.
Hmm.
Then when there's that information that is known to everybody, then the change is much more easier. So this would be the first step, and then after, for sure, there's technical points to manage. It's like a diagnostic of the company, what we are doing now, and get yourself a professional like we are doing with Graitec with our projects in Quebec. We make a diagnostic of existing conditions to our clients, and then we bring our knowledge of BIM processes and how we can ease some pain points and obstacles that the companies are actually facing and bring new and more proficient processes.
Hmm.
And then after we go with technical, with trainings and everything. But this is regular stuff. The important thing with our experience is the handling of the first steps. So when your first steps are very well designed and planned before, all the rest will flow easily.
Hmm.
So it's basically the way the Japanese are constructing. They'll spend a lot of time preparing, and there's no fast track projects. It's pretty much like all planned together before, and then construction goes very well. So we have to, I think, to go in that matter of working.
Yeah. So if we put a lot of emphasis then on the change management, oh, how do you get everybody really bought in at the beginning, especially those kind of curmudgeon ones that want to sit on the sidelines and like, I don't like this. This is different than the way we've always done it.
Yeah,
We
it's
already have a process that works. Why are we changing?
yeah, it's not easy. For sure, with the experience I had with some partners and companies, we always have discussions with the partners before, and I like to interview everybody that will be implicated in the management of the change, or
Mhm.
if the client knows anybody that I should pay attention to, I would like to know before and maybe have one-on-ones with them and explain very well how it's important and how it would be also important for that person, because if he's staying in his old habits, time will pass by, every company will pass to BIM, and he will stay behind, and his value on the market will go down.
Mhm.
So it's good for him to change anyway. It's just to make it more easier, maybe spend more time with that person and yeah, explain things more and listen to why he's concerned with that change. And sometimes it's little trivial stuff that could be easily fixed, and then that person becomes your greatest ally after. So
Mhm.
it's you just have to talk to that person and to know what's his perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. What I like about that is I feel like a trap that a lot of people fall into is they have one uh, kind of benefit pitch deck, if you will, and they just use that for every single persona along the line where it's not going to resonate with everybody. You got to be able to figure out where their sticking point is, what is their why, and lean into that to address that concern because it's valid. They have it, so address it head on, if you can speak to that, I totally agree that if you win that person over, they're for sure going to become your biggest champion. And other
Exactly.
people that are sitting on the sideline seeing them become a champion are like, oh, well, maybe this isn't too bad.
Exactly. Then there's the influence of others then that will come too. So you try to always highlight the good things and make it shine and talk to each people there and have maybe weekly meetings to progress reports and comparing with other projects. And so every company is different, but there's always a way to manage.
Yeah. Is there certain misconceptions that you've come across that a lot of the industry believes, but probably maybe they shouldn't believe because it's not necessarily true?
On a certain uh, topic or
When coming into a BIM process or trying to embrace more digital workflows, is there misconceptions there along the way?
Um, I think youngest people don't have that much problem with technology or process or digital processes. It's more maybe older people, and I can include myself in there. So not myself, but other with my age. But yeah, it's you trust paper sometimes more than technology. Everybody has lost a file once, and it's not a happy situation. So you have to begin again. But now it
Mm-hmm.
pretty much is on the cloud, and people don't know how much reliable that information is because it resides in more than one place, and you can always go back to it. Um, but it always feels quicker to take a pen and take the information on personal paper on the side, but it's not shared with other people. So for myself, I think it's some processes like this is harder to harder to change because we still have paper and pen, but we have to change the mentality of people and think always in the team. So if something happens, especially with the our time now that we work from home, um, we don't have access to that paper anymore at the office. It's at
Mm-hmm.
your home. So you have to share the information. Information is power. So we have to bring that information to most people. And there's a lot of different tools that can bring that together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there a certain trend coming into this year that you're taking note of that's you think is going to really uh, help kind of shape the industry moving forward?
From beginning of COVID, with the people working from home, what I've noticed is we do a lot more implementation of the Autodesk Construction Cloud.
Mm.
Um, it's amazing how many companies we helped changed digitally to get to that tablet in hand on construction site and people working from home to get that information or work on Revit with a shared file on the cloud. And so it's that big trend we have in Montreal. It switched around 2019 2020. um, we did a lot of trainings on Revit before, and now it changed to more general contractors or architects that want to be connected for the projects.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think it's a big trend.
Yeah, it's an interesting trend to call out too, especially in your timeline. That the I felt like in 2019 and the first couple of months of 2020 before COVID lockdowns took place, you were seeing some of those early waves starting to come in, and
Yeah.
momentum was picking up. And then obviously with everybody locked down and you couldn't go and do your process how you normally were, and everybody was disrupted, the technology adoption was just like a hockey stick straight up. Everybody started because you had to in order to keep the business moving,
Yeah.
and then they realized that it wasn't as intimidating or scary as what they had kind of built up in their heads,
Mhm.
and now they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it comes back to what we were saying before. It's the change management. It's the fear of the unknown. You're not aware of what's happening, so you're careful. You're taking more time or you're making yourself scenarios or ideas. But when you're there, it's not that bad. It's just that you have to experience it.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you see as the next step in the industrialization of the industry at large?
Oof. Yeah, it's a large question. I think I think the change to digital will be more global. Um, More smaller companies will go on it, not only the smallest one. More sharing, more information flowing from for the project. Maybe some hardware, you know, improvement. Um, I look forward to better augmented reality on construction sites, or um, more uses of, drones and things like that. They are all available now. It's just that people still think that it's expensive to use. But at the end, the advantage, you have to, laser scan your site or use it as general contractor and before a concrete pour and after ones to see if there's any deflections or things like that. People don't know what you can do with the technology is already there. So I think in the coming years, it's going to be more sharing, more cloud work, and maybe more usage of hardware that are available now, but people don't use so much.
Mm. Yeah. So, kind of on that future casting vein, Graitec's mission is to model the future. What does that really look like to you, and what does that mean to you?
Um, Future is for me is to be visionary, to be able to foresee what would happen, and if a trend is a good one, to surf on, or if it's something that would be temporary. So I was visionary at that time when I founded my company of BIM Consulting. There was no company like this in Canada at that time.
Mm.
Um, and I think I made the right move. So I think Greatech is the same thing, is to be the trusted advisor, because we have people all around the world looking for existing technology, but we developed also the technology. So we have a strong IP team helping people with different softwares, having our own softwares, but also putting some plugins to existing softwares. So it's very important for me to have my team be the first to know something technologically concerning BIM and construction. I hate it when it happens that when a client says, "Well, have you seen that?" and I don't. I want to be the first one to know, and I want to be hands-on in it. And when I get the question from the client, I would say, "Yes, I know about it, and I can show you tips and tricks."
Yeah.
And I want my team to be there always one step in front of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that mindset is very indicative of Great Tech Canada. Just got announced that they were named a platinum partner for Autodesk. So congratulations there. It's a huge, big step accomplishment for Great Tech Canada. I think it's the first partner too to do it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, so that's huge, awesome. What is that kind of status? What did it take? What does that look like? What does it mean to going forward?
It's All this thing was new to me a little bit, because when I was at my own company before joining Graitec, I was Autodesk training center, but not reseller. So
Hmm.
all that thing with selling softwares and everything and being there was not very understood from my point of view. And now, since I'm with Graitec, I saw how how important it is at some point, because the highest you get on that scale, and platinum is the highest, we have better link with people from Autodesk if we want to have insights of what's upcoming, and also if we need support, or if there's a project very peculiar for a client that they can help us. We have better communication together, and it
Hmm.
also, I think, show how expert we are, because to get to that level, like you said, it's less years that um, than the other took to get there. It's a lot of effort, and it shows that our team is very passionate, and we want to be the best one out there for every clients we have and we will get after. It's to be partners with our clients, and work on projects and be more closely related to Autodesk, still having our own general, neutral eye on what's going on other softwares. But with that platinum level, we guarantee that we have a good contact with them, and we can offer the best service ever.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I know that there's so much work that goes in behind the scenes on that with
Yeah,
getting all the specializations and a whole host of different products and topic areas and knowledge expertise as well, and be able
yeah,
to have it kind of that stamp of a approval
yeah.
is very exciting.
Like you said, there's like requisites, and we have to fill some things in the background that makes us eligible to have that certification. And by example, in our team, we have one specialist for construction, one for MEP, one for architecture, one for. So we have to get that team there, and it's not only putting a name on a sheet. They need to be certified, and they need to prove that they are competent.
Right.
So it's all in the background, and it's yeah, it was not easy to arrange everything, but we managed to do it, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, well, you should be. It's a huge accomplishment. So one of the kind of main currents of the show is all centered around all of innovation in the construction industry. So, uh, with that kind of in mind, what does innovation mean to you?
It's a little bit similar to the other question about modeling the future. Maybe I answered the first question a little bit more on the innovative side, but for me, innovation is to be the first there and to do something that nobody else did before. To innovate is to create something, is to make maybe a certain process better, but in a way that nobody thought about it before. So it could
Mm,
be creating, like I said, a plugin or a new process or having a solution that was not possible before, and then you get to that part after with your creativity. And so innovation for me is to be in front of others technologically, and to yeah, to create something that was not existing before.
yeah, I like it. I like it. How do people find out more information on what you guys got going on at Great Canada, or maybe connect with you?
Yeah, sure. We have our websites and everything, so I will be more than happy to answer everybody's questions, having getting my way.
Awesome. Final question for you. If I could give you all construction power and you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the industry, what would you choose to innovate?
Uh, it's uh, it's a tricky question. I was just listening to Star Trek yesterday with Picard series, and it's
Nice.
like, okay, I would like to have like that kind of, replicators and things like that. So if it was possible, with having flight and everything, I think we can get there. It's just that we have to think outside the box, and yeah, I think we could do better construction and better, communication. Not only for sure profit and commercial things is very important, but to think about the society and the green side of the planet, and to work together to a better future. I think it would be the best for me.
Mm, I like it. Great way to end it, Eric. Thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
All right.
Look forward to many more times of you
Yeah,
coming on.
a lot of pleasure on my side. It was very fun to have that with you, Todd.